Well, hello and welcome to the Bottom Line Me podcast, where we like to talk about sales challenges and hot topics in the title insurance industry. I'm Allard, and with me today is my colleague, Denise McBride. Denise, thanks so much for joining me today.
Oh, thanks, Ann. Thanks for having me back.
Great. Well, yeah, it was great to have you on earlier talking about online learning. And during that conversation, you mentioned something called gamification, which I really am not very familiar with, but it piqued my interest and my curiosity. So I thought we'd have you back to talk a little bit more about gamification and what it is, particularly because in our industry, training and education sometimes around title insurance topics can be kind of boring. So gamification sounds like it, adds a fun and a new and interesting element to it. So what exactly is it?
So, in a nutshell, gamification is a process of adding game-like elements to education and training, and
Mhm.
it essentially provides a new way to learn.
Right? It does. So how is it actually used in training and education?
And that's a great question. So, more specifically, in corporate training, gamification adds points, badges, and other game features to what would be the traditional instruction. By adding these game elements, they can create a strategic process. So we need to be careful though, because you don't want to just add games to the
Mhm.
training for the sake of doing that. So you basically want to lean on a good instructional designer who knows when and where to use the gamification in a specific training scenario. So it needs to be purposeful. It needs to meet an objective. So if it basically takes up space, it's going to frustrate your learners. They're going to quit. They're not going to be interested in it. It's just kind of taking up too much of their time.
Mhm.
But when done correctly in corporate training, gamification has proven to cause the learner to focus more, and they pay attention and are less distracted, as in the case of traditional learning.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then if I could add, sorry, if I could add, the learner in gamification is active. So you might be in a traditional setting where you have a speaker, you might have some collaboration with people around you, but in the difference is when you're in gamification and you're using that in more of an online learning environment, you can get your success and failure components right there. So basically you're getting your own feedback, you're knowing on the spot as to
Yes.
whether or not you're learning, if are you, understanding the topic or the subject matter. In the gamification online, the outcomes are uncertain. And that's basically with challenge games, and it becomes a discovery process.
Interesting. And I'm assuming that all you need is an internet connection and a device. I mean, you could do it on a computer, on a phone, on a tablet, or an iPad. Am I correct in that?
Really, yeah. Most courses are available on all of those media devices. So it's
Mhm.
really easy and you can do it 24/7. So at your own desired location at any time.
Interesting. Interesting. Can you give me an example or two of a gamification that you're familiar with?
Yeah, so I'll start out with what people are
Yeah.
most common, what they're used to is the points based. So a lot of people are used to going to different apps and you spend some money, you earn points, and you get something in return. So
Mhm.
that would be kind of your entry level of a game.
Who
That
doesn't love to earn points, huh?
everybody loves that. Yeah, you love to get free stuff. Which leads me to leaderboards, which are more common in your mobile devices and the games that you'll do online. Um, in
Mhm.
those cases, you can earn some badges and you're competing against other people. But at the end, there in some of those applications, you can also get free stuff. And then,
Well,
and then there's more advanced game elements, which I kind of gravitate to. So those include strategies, simulations, and achievements. They can be in a form again of competition points, but mainly it's like a mastery of levels within the game that is put into learning context.
interesting. So do you get I mean, the points are fun, but can you get a certificate? I mean, can you take a course online that includes gamification that would be certificate worthy?
Absolutely, yeah, and that's the beauty. Like you mentioned at the beginning about title insurance being boring. So that's one of the things that we focus on is we have, the subject matter that we need to teach because, it's information that you need to do your job. But add some game elements to do exactly what I was talking about a little bit ago, to do some learning retention to get the immediate feedback and things like that. And then we do include certificates in a lot of courses. Again, it just depends on the subject matter, what the objective is. You don't want to give everybody a certificate for taking a 2-minute, micro learning course.
Right.
But yes, there is the opportunity to earn certificates and do different types of, outcome-based learning.
Awesome. You mentioned leaderboards, which leads me to the competition element or opportunity in gamification. Can you talk a little bit more about that? What are the benefits or the advantages of competition in gamification?
Yeah, so in the competition, there's achievement points. So the learners can compete against themselves. They can constantly get better, or they can compete against other people in different skills and activities. And that kind of raises the bar for the competition level, especially if you're competing against other people in your team or even other people in the industry. And then you can also see elements where the game involves action activities and knowledge-based learning, like trivia games, things like that.
Sure.
So that's another area that can be engaging in gamification.
Interesting. Would you also say that when somebody's competing, is there an opportunity for collaboration with others who might be also participating in some kind of a game?
Sure. So by looking at the leaderboards, you can kind of see what other people are achieving. You can kind of see what's the best, because everybody wants to be that top person. But I
Right.
want to caution people because if you're not that top competitive level person, you really just need to look at kind of the middle of the ground. So you're seeing that, hey, you're doing just as well. You're going along with everybody else, and you're able to kind of gauge that. And then you can also set up different collaborations within the competitions. So there's things like chat rooms, which really doesn't fall under gamification, but it's just another enhancement, if you want to call it that, to
Yeah. Well, I would think that that's just, particularly because so much learning is done online now and you're kind of isolated. You're not in a classroom with a group of students that having, that additional opportunity to be able to collaborate with someone, even though you're remote, is quite an advantage. I know sometimes it can be pretty lonely out there.
absolutely.
Yeah. Good. Good. So, Denise, the $64,000 question, what's the bottom line on gamification?
So I would encourage everyone, if you haven't already checked out gamification, it's definitely something to try and, see how it works for you, for your learning retention, check out the competitions and different things like that. Agency or university, if I can just give a quick plug, offers gamification in some of our courses on the learning management system. So if you're an agent of over public title and you're not familiar with that, you can reach out to your rep and they can show you how to access those courses. If you're not an agent and you're interested in learning more about what older public title has to offer, feel free to reach out to one of our state offices and check out our gamification from, maybe becoming one of our agents.
Great. Well, that's a great bottom line. Thanks, Denise. Thanks so much for taking some time to talk with me about this topic today. And to our audience, thank you so much for joining us. And now we all have a new way to learn, grow, and prosper. Till we meet again, thank you.